Welcome back to episode of Up Next, the podcast where we tell you who's up next in youth sports. We talk to them. If you know our work, you can look back and see we've had some serious youngsters on the show even before they blew up. We had them on the show, talk to them. So if you haven't listened to a bunch of our episodes, go back and check them out. We've had numerous people like Scoot Henderson before he was even at the G League, all that stuff. I'm getting on a tangent, but first of all, welcome back. Up next, I'm Jamal Murphy. Got my co-host Khalid Green in the house. We got no guest today. We're just gonna chop it up because, of course, the 2023 summer AAU season is coming to an end, if not the end. But we're gonna just talk about it, and touch a whole bunch of different topics. There's a lot. It was a great summer. What's up, man? How's it going?
Peace, Jay. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. You relaxed? I know you had
All
a
right.
long season. You were coaching New Heights Lightning 15U squad, which is that's big. You went on vacation already, or you still waiting to do that?
No vacation yet. I'm going August 21st, I believe. We're going to Cancun, Mexico. So
Okay.
no, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Like you said, it's been a long summer so far, but productive.
Is it over yet, or is there still more to go? You got a little more.
So the basketball portion of it, of me coaching, is over.
Okay.
But there's some kids that I'm involved with that I'm helping to steer to different prep schools and different situations that some of the kids are getting offers. So I'm walking their parents through some of that, um, and guiding them with what college coaches really like them right now. So it's always something to do in the world of coaching.
Yeah, yeah. I was just talking about the coach. I know your real job never ends. I know that's helping the kids, getting the kids situated, giving them opportunities. I know that's every day. That's
Right,
365 right there.
right.
So, hopefully you have a great vacation, and I'm sure you still be working some even there. But let's jump into it because we talked about the summer AAU season coming to an end. Every summer seems to get bigger and better in terms of prospects and play and all that kind of stuff. Let's start out with your squad. Like I said, you coached the New Heights Lightning 15
hmm
U summer team. Tell me, how you felt the season went, overall for you guys.
I thought we had a good season. It wasn't a great season. To me, only one team could say they had a great season. That was CP3, who won the 15 and under national Nike, EYBL Peach Jam. But I think we had definitely a good season. I think it was a good season overall for our program. This is the first year that New Heights Lightning had all three teams that qualified to make the Peach. For those that don't know, each age group starts off with about 40, 50 teams, 15 and under, 16 and under, and 17 and under. And only 20 make each age group. So we were one of the 20. Um, and we fell short of our goal, our ultimate goal, which was to win Peach. We literally fell short 1 point to make the quarterfinals. Um, Overall, out there, we went 3-2. And the most important part of the whole journey is that some of our kids were able to get some offers from colleges and some interest from colleges, and that's what we're here for.
No doubt. So that kind of goes into my next question because like you said, the ultimate uh, goal is to get these kids better, get these kids into college for free.
Right,
Continue to play the game that they love. 15U is like a, a very important age group for that. You're going
right.
kids going into their sophomore year, I believe, right? So sophomore
Yes,
year.
yes.
So that's when it gets real in terms of whether you're going to be a top level guy. Talk about that. Like, what kind of like, I'll get into specific players after, like right after this, but in general, like, were you happy with the development? How do you think, how do you think kids were able to develop in this space? there's a lot of pressure involved. Like, do you think kids handle the pressure and were able to get better?
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of our kids handle the pressure. Um, the development part is ongoing. It comes in phases. There were certain kids that I would really focus on the mental part of the game. Um, you know, and when I say that, I'm referring to keeping positive body language even when adversity hits. Um, Keeping composure, keeping poise, uh, and then there was also physical development we wanted to see out of certain kids. Like I know I'm proud of one kid, Kamari White.
Hmm.
He came into the season out of St. Raymond's, and he's known to be like a big rebounder. Really doesn't have a position, but just plays hard as hell. And he's starting to develop a 3-point shot, so that's going to help him, at the next level. So signs like that, are great to see as a coach.
No doubt. So let's talk about some of your players specifically. You got some like obviously high level kids on the team already getting offers and that kind of thing. Uh, Probably the most popular kid on your team is Mel or Jamel Thomas, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Um, he's very popular on Instagram. Uh, he's like classic New York City point guard type. Um, how do you think his game came across? I saw him play, during the Peace Jam. Started off a little slow first couple of games, got into foul trouble. I think the first game,
Hmm.
but the last 3 games or so, he really was able to show his game. How do you think his game is developing?
Um, Mel's definitely developing into. I think he's going to be one of the premier guards in the league. I mean, in the country. Um, with him, he's so crafty. His instincts. You can't teach those type of instincts. And unlike a lot of point guards from New York City, he actually doesn't just have a handle. He can actually shoot the ball. So one thing that I want to see him doing, especially at Cardinal Hayes, is getting his teammates involved, which he was doing with us, but getting also in position to take that catch and shoot three, which I think will really expand his game and take him where he wants to go. So I'm very proud of Mel and his growth, and he's definitely been a pleasure to coach.
Now, what about another guard you have on that team? You had a kind of a impressive backcourt. You had Ron. What's his
Yeah,
what's his what's his full name for the people who don't know?
that would be Deron Rippey Jr.
Uh huh.
and Jr. Shout out to his father, Deron Rippey Sr., who was also a very good player. But no, Ronnie, I call him Ronnie. He's a special player. He one, he's a competitor. He plays both sides of the court. Athletic, will dunk on you if he sees the chance. And what I'm proud of is the fact that he's developing a consistent 3-point shot. He started to show that in the EYBL. I think against Team Durant, he went 6 for 7 from 3-point range, which is for him that's going to open up his game a whole lot because he can go downhill whenever really he wants to. And just want to see him also develop going forward to just make better decisions with the ball, which he'll get to once he slows down a little bit. But he's a hell of a player, and I certainly think he's going to have a hell of a career and future. And I could see him playing in the Big East or the ACC for sure.
Yeah, just from watching those two guys, um, it's because they're going to be sophomores, right? So you could and Ron in particular, he has like that all around game. He could do a lot of everything,
Yes.
right? But it's like and even Mel too. It's like they're young, so I'm watching them, and you're used to watching older guys or whatever, and you're like, okay, you want them to have like a go-to move, or you want them to have like a or kind of know what their game is, and it's too early for that, right?
Right.
Right. I'm wondering like how you as a coach at 15s, you gotta deal, like, you got kids with all this talent, and you kind of as a coach probably have to let them figure it out themselves, but then you're at the same time you're trying to win. Like
Yeah.
how do you balance that? Like, okay, you got to let them make their mistakes. You know that they don't quite know their, like, how they can get their points or get to their spots yet. Like, how do you balance that?
I mean, it's hard because in grassroots basketball we don't have but maybe 2 practices a week, if that. So we're trying to teach them so much in a microwave. We're trying to cook a great meal in a microwave, and it really doesn't work out like that. So for me, I just continue. I'm consistent with my messages, and consistent with telling, like, in particular, like, Mel, I tell him less is more all the time, and we have something I call KISS. I call it. He laughs. I said, "Keep it simple, stupid." That's KISS. So I just tell him less is more, but again, he is, especially him in particular, he's so creative that you don't ever want to take away from his confidence and his what he brings to the table without any coaching. So it is a balance, but I think him and I have a good feel. Like, I'll give him a look when there's times when he needs to be Mel and dance, and then there's time where we need to run the team. So we have a good balance, and we have a good feel for each other. He knows when coach really wants the team run, or the offensive system run, and he'll do it. And if he doesn't, he'll sit the bench for a minute, and then he'll come back out and give me a look like he's mad, and he'll do it.
Right. Yeah, no question. And then, like I said, the rest of the team, solid, man. Like, there are a lot of kids up there that I didn't really know. I probably only seen, practice once or twice or play a game here or there. If
Right.
you want to, like, some other kids who you're proud of. I know I saw the shooter, I don't know his name, but he went off for 25 in the first game.
Yeah,
He was
Josh
hitting
Powell.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh Powell was like our Benny, for the old school basketball heads. He was our Benny Baker. I mean, what's the brother that came up?
Microwave, Vinny Johnson.
Microwave.
Yep.
Yeah, Benny Johnson. He was like
Yep.
Microwave for us.
Carried you
Where
that first game in
Yeah,
Peachtree.
yeah, he's a bucket. Like,
Mhm.
and the blessing about him is that, for those that don't know, Josh Powell was a four-man from elementary school to middle school, and he did a hell of a job, just transforming his game into a guard. He saw the writing on the wall. He probably knew he wasn't going to grow that much more, and he just started to develop that characteristic of being a shooter. So and he does it well.
Wow.
When he gets hot, it's like, feed him the ball. He's one of those. Another guy that deserves a lot of credit on my team is, we call him Big O. Uh, he's about 6'6", 6'7", big. He plays at St. Francis Prep, but he's really probably our first or second best shooter, as far as 3-pointers on the team. He can get hot, but he also can can score down low, and he also has a very good feel for the game where he makes the right passes. So, like, I know Josh Powell got an offer from Long Island University, and I'm sure there's some offers coming from some schools for Big O, in the near future. In fact, he was invited to go to the Syracuse Elite Camp, which I'm sure he's going to do in August.
Yeah, you got a lot of guys, and it's early, man. Like
Yeah,
people, I know, especially the kids, they probably just want it all now. They want the offers
yeah,
now, but I mean, it's
yes,
really early in the process to just keep getting better,
uh-huh,
and you'll get to where you want to go. So definitely, everybody, you got keep your eyes on that Lightning team. Was it class of 2026?
yep, yes,
Yep,
sir.
because you got a lot of guys, and they're all just going to get better. So I definitely see great things in the future for that squad. In general, where throughout the year, AAU, not just Peace Jam, or EYBL, but what were your thoughts, like, in terms of just the amount of talent you saw out there? Uh, you know,
Yeah, like, EYBL. This is my first year coaching as a head coach on that circuit, and I mean, it is the creme de la creme of grassroots basketball. Like, one, they really run it very organized, very professionally run and done. But two, um, the talent. Like, there's no real off games in when you're playing on this circuit. Like, in eighth grade, we pretty much knew we were gonna come out of every pool, and we pretty much knew we were gonna have about, in a weekend, we'll probably have about three blowouts out of five games. It's not like that in the EYBL. Pretty much even the worst teams are going to give you their best matchup. They're going to give you their best effort. So you have to be prepared. Like, this is real deal basketball. So we watched a lot of film on kids, and you're watching the film and then you see them in person, and sometimes they look a lot better in person than they did on the film.
Right.
And so you have to make adjustments on the fly. And you came in as a coach. I came in ready to shut the water off of this kid and make sure he doesn't get off. And this other kid is just as good, but in the film I watched, he didn't look that good.
Right.
So there's a lot of, I mean, there's so much talent. And again, this is a national tournament. This is not like a New York team playing against a Jersey team over and over. This is a New York team playing against a Detroit team, playing against a team from Atlanta, from Texas, from wherever. So you're getting the best of each state on the best circuit. So, and these are some of the best, these are some of the kids that you'll be reading about and they'll be talking about on First Take in a few years. So, and they'll be talking about on Up Next. We'll be talking about on Up Next. So,
No question.
yeah. So these kids are special, and it is a special circuit to coach on.
How you think this translates? They play against this type of competition, and then they got the high school season coming up. How you think it translates to the their high school season? Obviously, they got to have confidence going in. They played against like the best players in the country.
Right.
Now you come back and play locally. What do you look? Or the better question really is, what do you look for, like these kids? How do you look for them to perform this high school season after the experience they just had?
Well, you said it first. You just said it, Jay. One, you can see the confidence that oozes out of these kids. Like, I was watching, like, I'm involved with one of our kids, that Christian Jeffries, on our 16 and under program team, and he had a hell of a, like, he finished second in, he actually finished second team in EY in Peach.
Yep.
And I think he was like second in scoring only to Cooper Flagg, and averaged about 4 or 5 rebounds a game, 5 assists, and he's a point guard. So like, you could tell, like, even in his swag now, he knows he went against the number one kid, in the country, and did a really good job. So when you go through that type of fire, nothing really scares you anymore. You come out with a different type of confidence, and you probably see yourself in a different light that you didn't see yourself in, going into the Peach. So that's the first thing I'm thinking that all of my kids will have is a higher level of confidence, which, as you know, Jake, you have to have in sports and in life. And then I think if they're being honest with themselves, they'll also assess where their strengths and weaknesses are, and try to build on that.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Christian Jeffrey play in the 16th. He was very, very impressive. And I had seen him. I always liked him.
Right.
I had seen him during the year in high school season. He was good then for Bishop Lachlan.
Right.
But his name wasn't really out there nationally.
Right.
I didn't see him on any of the rankings and all that. I think that's going to change because of what he did there. He was the leader of that team. You could tell, and he didn't know. And like you said, he did a lot of different things. It wasn't just scoring. He might have a good scoring night one night, but then the next night, someone else might be scoring, and he was doing everything else. He would be he's like, he provided the toughness. You could
Right.
tell that leadership, all that kind of stuff. So he's a guy whose star I think is rising. Speaking of that, like who else did you see, New Heights or anywhere else that really impressed you? Like obviously, I was watching the Peace Jam and the big names were like a Cooper Flagg. Everybody's talked about him. We should talk about him for a second in a minute, but also the Boozer twins, this kid Dibansa, who's I think he was 16 playing, he's 16 playing up in the
Yeah.
17 division, and I think he led the 17s in scoring. But who were like the guys who really you saw and really felt like, oh, these are some of the best players in the country?
I mean, you just said one of them, Cooper Flagg. Like, coming into EYBL, I only heard his name. I never really sat down and seen him play. I've obviously seen some clips, but I actually was able to see a whole game, and I was just impressed with his feel for the game, his competitive will, and the fact that he's so skilled. Like he's a 6'8", 6'9" kid that can handle the ball, and dribble out of traps and you know take big shots and block shots. So I was definitely impressed with him. And on our 16 and under team, I got to watch Preston Fowler.
Mm-hmm.
He was very impressive when we played against Strive to Greatness. I know CP3. I forgot the name of these young men, but they have on their 17 and under team, they have a couple of guards that played against our 17 and under team and wiped us out.
Yeah, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, like one's going to Duke, one's going to Carolina, something like
Yeah,
that.
they were just like one of them was. I think he had about 16 points in the first quarter, and he was not missing. And then they had another guard that I think you quoted right. I think he's going to North Carolina. There's also another kid that really impressed me. I think his last name is Bethia, that plays for Team Final.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a natural shooter, natural scorer out of Philly, and he's a bucket. And these kids, Ahmad Noel, point guard for Team Final, was also impressive. So there's so much talent, and that's the reason why that those college coaches were sitting there like killer bees swarming on a hive, just waiting, just waiting to get the attention of some of these kids. There were also NBA scouts at these
Oh yeah,
and that was for a reason. Like some of these kids are the next ones that will be lottery picks. So it was overall, like I said, it was impressive, and I was humbled to be on the circuit.
yeah. No, I saw Cooper Flagg, Cam Boozer, all them. I do have to say Cooper Flagg was very very impressive. Like I mean, like you say, he's 6'9" and looks like a legit 6'9".
Legit,
Um,
legit.
and he can run the point if he wanted to.
Yes,
And
and
that's
he
what it looked
was.
like. Yeah, and
He
it was,
was
and
running the
definitely on
point.
the break, grab the rebound,
Yeah, yeah,
behind the back,
yeah.
switch directions,
Right.
could make a pass, like any kind of pass you want, or could finish with a dunk, or he threw it off the backboard a couple times,
Yeah.
like he'd be stuck, throw it off the backboard, dunk. Um, like I mean, there wasn't anything he couldn't do. And now it's early. He'll be a junior. I think he could even reclassify if he wanted to. I don't think he's an old junior, but he's like right at the line where he could
Right.
he could reclassify if he wanted to. I saw Cam Boozer. Uh, if it weren't for Cooper Flagg, I mean, I would be raving about him because
Absolutely.
and he's younger. He's like a legit 15.
Yeah. I
Um,
think they just turned like
yeah,
16.
yeah. I think they just
Yeah.
turned 16 like the other day. I was watching on our guy Gary Charles
Yeah.
his Las Vegas big time tournament.
Yeah.
They had the Boozer twins were playing, and I think they I was watching that a couple nights ago, and the next night was his birthday. He turned 16, and
Right.
it's crazy. He's doing interviews, and he sounds like a NBA vet doing the
Yeah.
interviews. It's so crazy how
Yeah.
these kids grow up so fast now.
Well seasoned. Well seasoned.
It's crazy. So yeah, there's so much talent, man. Um, let me get to. I mean, there are other guys too. Let me just mention Dylan Harper, who's like the number one rated uh, guy. I think he plays for the Wrens.
Yeah.
Um, and I hadn't seen him play before. I saw him play. Very impressive. Kind of remind me almost like of a Cade Cunningham type.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little, well, definitely a little more offensively aggressive, like in terms of scoring. Like Cade was
Yeah.
more like pass first.
Right.
This kid can pass, but probably a better scorer, but the same kind of athlete. Like not like jump off the page athlete, but he does what he needs to do. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. He's ranked number one now. We'll see if that stays the same. It doesn't matter, as
Right.
doesn't even
Right.
matter. But let me ask you about all the college coaches that were there. The college recruiting is a big part of it. You talked about kids even on your 15U team getting offers. What? Let's break that down. Like, what does that mean? Because I'm on, every time I'm on Instagram, everybody's talking about I got an offer. Or this person gave me this, or
It,
this coach wants me to go. Tell me, what does an offer really mean?
to me, it just means that that kid is on their radar. That
Mm-hmm.
kid is on their radar, and the problem is some parents think that once they get the offer, and some kids think once they get the offer, then you know their job is complete, and that's not what it is at all. That just means that coach knows you're on their radar, and they want to see how you progress in the upcoming years to see if we're going to give you, if we really want you by the time you become a junior, you know. So, I see a lot of kids that get hype over an offer. Don't get hype. That all that means
Just
is,
go to work. Go to
yeah,
work. That's what
yeah,
that
that
means.
means that, that means that you got to level up. That means that you need to hit the gym, and that means that you better make sure your grades are right. So when they do come for you, you can be eligible.
Right.
Because there's a lot of kids that are playing right now that, um, you know, like they could be playing for the locks with D block, because that's all they getting is D's. So,
Right. Right.
so we have to keep everything in perspective. These kids have to be eligible. They have to have their core credits to go to college. Um, you know, uh, Religion or art, and uh, petting your dog class is not a core credit.
Nah.
Your core credits include English, math, science. Um, you know, those are those are history. Those are the core credits. So those are the things that we also have to keep in perspective. And those are the things, some of the conversations I have with my kids to let them know, like this is like Nipsey Hussle said, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And a lot of kids are going to get offers early, and unfortunately, some of those college coaches that gave you an offer are going to get quiet about you later, because they see that they might have seen too many kinks in your game, or you're not eligible.
Right.
So, or your
Nah.
character is not right and doesn't fit their culture. So
Yeah. No,
they take all of that.
the academic piece is real. Um, because it's also shows your discipline, and that's part of basketball. Like
Absolutely.
you got to take care of business on all levels. And if you're not taking
Absolutely.
care, like if you're lacking in one area, that then the basketball comes into question too. Like, are you really
Right.
disciplined? Are you really a hard worker? Like, you're not taking care of this over there.
Right.
Like,
Right.
eventually we're gonna see that seep in to the basketball. And I like what you said about the offers. Like, it's really just means that you're on a coach's or a coaching staff's radar, right? That's all it means. That with
Yes.
their we saw you perform right there. Okay, we like your progression, how it's going, right?
Right.
So that means if you don't get any better from where you are right there, they're expecting you to get better every year. Like
Absolutely.
that's why they like you, because we saw you this year and you keep getting better. We like you, but if you stay where you are, as say you're nice as a sophomore and you just stay that level, that's not a real offer.
No, no, that becomes not an offer, but awful.
Exactly. Let me ask you this. This is another question. Okay, so these live events, right? How important is it to perform well during uh these live sessions, right? Obviously, I know it's important, and like you said, you get on coaches' radar. But what happens if you don't perform that well, especially at at any I don't care if it's 15, 16, 17. Let's say you don't perform well at these live sessions for whatever reason, or you don't get playing time during these live sessions, and you aren't recognized at these events by these coaches. Is it over for you? Do coaches still care about high school? Will they still continue to look and see what you're doing elsewhere, like once the live sessions are over, once the summer's over? How do what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just I guess I go back to when I was a scout. And so I would equate the NCAA tournament to the Peach Jam. And as a scout, we watch your whole resume. Like we're not naive to think that you're gonna have a great game every game. So we were prone to watch your whole resume, which would include your workouts in front of us, what we heard about some of your workouts at other NBA, in front of other NBA teams, um, how you played in conference, how you played out of conference, how you played in the NCAA tournament, how you played in your if you're in the Big East in your conference tournament. So and like you said, how you went from playing as a freshman to playing as a sophomore. So I think college coaches have the same approach. I think they watch the totality. At least a good one should watch the total package. Should be able to assess the total package. And if you had a bad peach, that's not necessarily the end of the world. It just means that you just had a bad peach. Things do happen sometimes. We all wake up and the day doesn't go as we thought it was going to go. But that's part of also they want to see how you fight through adversity.
Right.
Your bounce back. What is your bounce back DNA like? Are you going to stay in a rut once you had a bad peach, or like you said, Jay, are you going to play well when you were in your high school season? So I think they weigh all of that, and I think college coaches, good college coaches, will always take all of that. You know, will always look at all of that and weigh it all properly.
Right. No, I agree with that. Um, One of the things we always talk about in AAU, summer AAU, or basketball in general, youth basketball, the parents have wild expectations, or some of them have wild expectations. All of them have some sort of expectations. Sometimes we hear stories about them getting in the way of the coaching, or we've definitely heard like horror stories of fights and stuff like that.
Mm.
So it's like a theme you always hear about people you know somewhat complaining about the parents and how they're acting. What did you see on the circuit this year? Is how they doing? How these parents doing? How they holding up?
I mean, there there's always going to be some incidents. Remember this is a cipher or a circle that has so many personalities in it. And I think, for example, my parents, I can just talk about my parents. They've been very low key. We have very transparent conversations on a regular basis, and it's not always about basketball. So they know I don't see their kids as just basketball players. Like I'm asking about, you know, their family, and I'm in touch with them on a regular basis about, and we touch on other subjects. So I think it's important to build a relationship of trust first, so they know where you're coming from as a coach. If you're coming from an angle where everything is basketball, 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 then you're almost you're on a losing path. You have to, in my opinion, have to be have a holistic approach to dealing with the kids and the parents. And again, that's not saying that you still won't have some flare ups, but for the most part, it's worked for me. And also I consider myself, and I know I am a seasoned vet. So some of the some of the mistakes I've made as a younger coach, I don't make anymore.
Mm,
Um, I've learned from those mistakes. So, um, you know, um, and at the end of the day, I want what's best for the kid, and the parents do too.
right. What would be your ideal parent? Like, what's the advice you would give to parents? What's like,
The ideal parent is to be a parent, not to be the coach, to be the parent. So, um, and what I mean that by that is to be supportive when before the game and supportive after the game. Win or lose, good game or bad game. That's the ideal parent. Not to be so involved with your son that he becomes a robot where he's playing and then looking over at the stands to see if he's playing right. Sometimes you have to like I get it when they're babies, but it definitely has been times where I've seen it even in high school, and I'm like somewhere along the line was overkill with this parenting situation, because when he's on that court, he's with his peers or she's with her peers, and they have to fight it out and go through what they have to go through. And if they're looking over at their parent in high school, they almost become, uh, it just inhibits them. It strains them of their own creativity, and I've seen it over and over. So, but like I said, just be supportive.
yeah,
Just be supportive and have transparent conversations with coaches. And
right,
coaches have to be grown-ups too.
right,
Like
right,
that's the other part. Like when a parent has the right to ask you questions. So you have to man up and answer those questions, or woman up and answer those questions, and don't be a coward and do like what I call sucker stuff, man. Like a conversation is not gonna bite. It doesn't bite me. It doesn't hurt me.
Give me an example of some sucker stuff.
I've seen a lot of coaches. Like I've seen parents reach out to coaches and they don't answer back. Like to me, that's
Mm,
disrespectful. And
yeah,
what's going to happen is the tension is you're only making the tension worse, because now it turns from he wants to talk to you to it's going to get disrespectful.
right,
Um, but on the other hand, I tell parents, give the coaches at least give the coaches some time after the game too. Like, just don't run up on a coach after the game, saying why my son didn't play. Like he might have just lost. The coach is emotionally entrenched in that particular game. He doesn't want to have that conversation right then and there. That conversation is going to be all bad. So I tell parents to give the coach at least 10 hours minimum, so he can debrief and go through his emotions, and then you guys can come back and have a productive conversation.
right. No, I hear that, and going back to that looking in the stand stuff. Like, I coached in high school, JV, assistant varsity coach in New York, and yeah, you had kids looking in the stands, at their parents. And I'll tell you this: that's one number one to kids. First of all, if you're doing that, you're not good. That like I know like I you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you're not nice. You're not a good player. Like
right,
because all the nights, and I grew up playing, like if you're good, you don't have, what are you looking in the stands for? Like, you know what I'm
right,
saying? You know how to play the game.
right,
You know what
right,
I'm saying? Like you don't look in the stands if you're good. So if you're
right.
doing that, just that's the first, like, damn, I'm not, you must not be good and you want to be good.
Yep,
Step number one, stop doing that. You
right.
know? And my question to you is, you said it's all right with the babies. What age you think that should stop?
I think around sixth grade we
Okay,
should
that's even
start
longer.
phasing
Yeah,
out of that.
yeah.
Yeah, because remember they're going into junior high school,
Yeah, yeah,
and it starts getting real intense at seventh and eighth grade. So the training wheels should be off around fifth, sixth grade,
yeah,
and you gotta it becomes sink or swim,
yeah.
and you have to let them swim and see what they have.
Yeah, I think you should start even earlier. Like, I got a little 9-year-old, almost 9 playing. My 4 or 5-year-old starting to get into it. Like, I think, my advice to parents would be, even from the youngest of ages, they got to learn a coach is the coach. And when they're on that court, you listen to what the coach says and you do what the coach says. Yes, of course, if you're a parent, you give a thumbs up, like hard clap, hard work. But in terms of specific instructions, I hate when I hear parents like yelling out, hey, like do
Yeah,
this, do that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
care. Even when it's positive,
Right,
even
right,
when it makes sense. I'm
right.
like no, because that's part of the learning process. They got to figure it out,
Yeah,
and you're just there for encouragement, like boom, boom, okay. And if
absolutely.
you really have something to say, just wait till the game is over. And I would say even like hours after the game,
Yeah,
oh, you
absolutely,
did this, you could, maybe you should try this, So
absolutely.
that's my opinion. Now remember, I'm asking all these questions, but you actually wrote a book on all this stuff.
Yes, sir.
So
Free game.
there's a reason why you can answer all this stuff pretty quickly. And I think you said
Yep.
you're a vet in the game. I got mine right
Yes,
here
sir.
too. You know what I'm saying? Free game. Tell us how that's going. In fact, like a specific question is, this season, I'm sure, every day we all learn more and more. You learn something every day, as they say. What did you see like this summer during the circuit that was like that, like, oh yeah, that's what I was saying in my book, or like that, maybe I should have included that, or like this is exactly what I was talking about, stuff like that.
Well, what I what was some of the things that I was exactly what I was talking about was just the kids, the development, seeing the development of certain kids. In one of the parts of my book, I talk about um, how kids develop at a different speed and a different rate. Some kids, uh, they jump out the box and they already, they're superstars, or or we think they're superstars. And some kids, it's a natural, slow progression. And it was good to see some kids that might have been written off, years ago when they were fifth, sixth grade, and um, now I see them, starting to flourish as ninth and 10th graders. I saw some of that. Um, and then one of the other things that is very important that I talk about in my book is parents and kids aligning with people that really know what they're doing, like really have been around the game and can give you some real solutions. Um, and there's so many people that what we call handlers and coaches and directors that literally have no clue of what they're talking about. Like, I literally have been in conversations with some, and I'm like, and you're running this program, or you're, coaching these kids. Um, but there are some that do know what they're talking about. And my book, Free Game, uh, helps the parent to navigate through the real and the fake. Um, and so, as somebody who's been around the game for as long as I've been around, I can easily find the answers and ask some of the coaches. Like, for example, I know so many coaches that when a kid is really getting an offer, I really have candid conversations with these coaches. They're not gonna BS me because of our relationship. So, you want to surround yourself with people that are going to give you authentic information that is, whether you like it or not, is the truth. And I think that's something that I saw on the circuit. I saw a combination of bad handlers, but I also saw some brothers that really, and sisters that really knew what they were doing and really doing a good job about the kids.
Right. So tell the people where they can get the book.
Yeah, so you can get the book on Amazon. Free Game: A Parent's Guide to Navigating Black and Brown Children Through Youth Sports and Beyond. You can find my Instagram page, which is freegame.7, and You can DM me if you want me to come speak at your school or institution. I've been making my rounds. I was blessed to be on the phone with the electric legendary Public Enemy Chuck D in Las Vegas a few months ago. So and I'll be making other rounds with other people in the near future. So yeah, check me out, freegame.7, and please support our podcast because we're about to light it up. Up
Yes.
next, that Up Next podcast.
Yeah. At Up Next on Instagram, at Up Next underscore, uh, or what is it? At under something. I got to check that out. I'm gonna have to
Right,
edit. I'm
right,
gonna have to edit this when I go back.
right, right,
But
right.
we're on Instagram too. Check us out. Up
Yes,
next
sir.
at Up Next on Instagram. And check us out. Up Next podcast on YouTube. Subscribe. Like the podcast. All that good stuff. We're gonna have some of these kids we talked about today.
Yep.
We're gonna have on and see, talk about their journey, talk about, possible college decisions, NBA decisions, G League decisions, all that kind of stuff. What goes into their thought process. So we'll have more of that, and who knows who else we'll have on. Big time basketball, grassroots guys, women, all that stuff. So continue to support the podcast. We're gonna Khalid, after he gets back from vacation, we're gonna go hard and
Facts.
put some great content up. But this was great, catching up, seeing how this summer AU season went. Like I said, it was a big season. Um, you know, EYBL was huge in it. You didn't have to go to Peace Jam to see the Peace Jam. You could, everything was streaming. It was like watching, NBA Summer League or something.
Right, right, right.
Flipping channels. So that was great. Got to see the great talent around the country, and a lot of them happen to be at New Heights, locally. So we got a lot more to cover, but this was great. This was great, man.
Yep, yep. Thank you, man. Let's keep building.
Definitely. All right. Appreciate you guys joining us. We will see you next week with some more content, and who knows, we'll probably have a big time player joining us next.
Absolutely. Peace, everybody.